A few summers ago, 5 of us rented a beach house in the Outer Banks. It was cheap for the size, 3 floors, wraparound deck, full ocean view. The listing said it was off-season, but it was June. The place had a weird energy from the start. The first thing we noticed was that every window facing the ocean had thick blackout curtains. Heavy ones, like hotel quality. Even the big glass sliding doors in the living room were covered. We figured maybe it was to keep the heat out. Or privacy. The first night, we sat out on the deck with drinks and let the waves put us to sleep. But around 2 a.m., I woke up to footsteps on the deck. Slow, barefoot, right outside the living room. I looked out the peephole. No one. When I opened the sliding curtain, just a little, I saw footprints in sand going up the steps, but none going back down. The rest of the week, things got weirder. Every night, we heard the same footsteps, always around 2 or 3 a.m., always slow, and always on the ocean-facing side. We started sleeping with the curtains open, trying to catch whoever it was. But every time we did, we'd wake up, and the curtains were shut again. No one admitted to closing them. One night, my friend Alan stayed up with me. We sat in the dark, watching the sliding glass doors. It was around 3:15 a.m. when he whispered, "Do you see that?" Out on the beach, just beyond the light of the deck, was a shape, standing, still, facing the house. It didn't move, didn't pace, didn't wave, just stood there. We went out with a flashlight. There were footprints in the sand leading up to the base of the stairs, but the figure was gone, and no prints going the other way. We called the rental agency the next morning. The woman on the phone paused when I described it, then quietly said, "You're not the first ones to see it." She said the original owner was found drowned on the front steps during a storm in the 90s. They think he was trying to go back inside. Ever since, renters complained of someone watching from the beach. That night, we taped the curtains open, stayed up, waited, and this time, when the shape appeared, it was closer. We didn't move, didn't breathe, until the glass door clicked. Not banged, not rattled, just clicked, as if someone tried the handle from the outside. We left before sunrise. Didn't pack, didn't explain. And the weirdest part, when we looked back from the road, the curtains were closed.
I was staying at my cousin's beach house for a few nights after a breakup. She offered me the guest room while she was out of town. It was a quiet little place, 5 minutes off the shore, raised on stilts with a screened-in porch and old hardwood floors that creaked no matter how lightly you stepped. The first 2 nights were uneventful, just me, Netflix, and frozen pizza. But the third night, I woke up around 3:30 a.m. because I heard waves. Not distant crashing like usual, but close. Too close. I sat up. The room was dark except for the soft glow of the hallway light leaking under the door. But the sound, it was inside. It wasn't loud. It was like a gentle lapping sound, water brushing against something solid. I got up, opened the door. The hallway was dry. Quiet. But the sound was louder now. It was coming from the living room. I crept out, barefoot. The wood was cold under my feet. When I turned the corner, I stopped. There was water on the floor. Just a thin layer, maybe half an inch. But enough to shimmer under the hallway light. It stretched across the living room, reflecting the light back at me in ripples. I looked toward the sliding glass doors that faced the ocean. They were shut tight. No rain. No leak. The water just was there. I turned on a flashlight and aimed it across the floor. The water didn't seem to have come from any direction. It had no trail, no source. It was just still. Then it moved. Not like a wave, not like it was being pushed. It pulled back, like it was receding into something. Slowly, silently, leaving the floor dry behind it. And as it slid away, I saw something else. In the reflection, near the back door, a shape, low to the ground, crawling. I spun around, nothing there. But the water was now nearly gone, and the air smelled like seawater. Old, fishy, thick. I mopped the floor with every towel I could find, threw them outside. Locked every door and window. Tried to forget it. The next night, I put towels along the door and stayed in bed. I still heard the waves. Still close. But I didn't get up. Around 4:10 a.m., the doorknob to my room clicked. Once. Then again. I held my breath. It didn't open. But the towel I'd wedged underneath was wet. When my cousin came back, I told her everything. She didn't act surprised. She said she used to hear it too. And that the old owner, a fisherman, had drowned right there in the house during a hurricane, years before they raised it on stilts. No one ever figured out how the water got in. Only that it always comes back.
I live about a quarter mile from an old lighthouse on the Oregon coast. It's been out of service since the 90s. Power's cut, the stairs are rusted, and the government fenced it off years ago. But people still walk past it during the day. It's a nice trail. One night about a year ago, I was sitting on my porch just before midnight when I noticed something. The top of the lighthouse, the glass dome, was glowing. Not flashing like a working beacon, just a soft, steady white light. At first I thought it was the moon, but it was too low and too centered. The glow was coming from inside. The lighthouse hasn't had power in over 20 years. I grabbed my flashlight and headed down the trail. As I got closer, I saw the windows in the lower level. They were lit too. Dim, yellowish light, like old bulbs straining to stay alive. The gate was still chained shut. I looked up, and the light inside the tower started to turn. Slowly, one rotation, then another, and it stopped, facing directly toward me. I stepped back. The light was pale, not strong enough to blind, but direct, like someone pointing a big flashlight through the glass dome. And in that moment, I thought I saw something move behind the glass. Not a person, just a shape. Quick, ducking out of view. I ran back home. I called the Coast Guard, left a message, emailed the parks office, even called the sheriff. The sheriff actually came out the next day. He said the gate was untouched, the tower locked up tight. But that night, I saw it again. This time the light didn't rotate. It just turned on and stayed there, aimed at my house. It stayed on until sunrise. Then it blinked off. I stopped going outside at night after that. Kept the curtains closed. But 2 weeks later, I was woken up by my porch light flicking on. Its motion sensor only turns on when something walks right in front of it. When I checked the camera footage, it was static. Just a frozen frame. No sound. No movement. But when I scrubbed through the frames, just one stood out. It was my front porch. And there, for less than a second, was a figure, facing the house, its head glowing faintly, like it had brought the light from the lighthouse with it.